Hello, I'm Charles Gandy, and I'm here today to show you a very quick and easy and elegant bobble. You know, there are probably 15 or 20 ways to make a bobble, maybe even more, but this bobble is a very simple, elegant, and easy bobble. It's a one row, one stitch bobble. And I have used it here in this hat. This is a design of mine called the Kiwi hat, which was inspired by a visit to Auckland, New Zealand several years ago. And I visited the University of Auckland, where there's a clock tower. And if you look it up, you'll see that this filigree here, if you will. It looks just like or similar to, I was inspired by that clock tower. And at the spires of that clock tower, I don't know, it needed these bobbles. And a normal bobble is a little bulkier than this. So this is very quick and easy bobble. And I think it's pretty effective in this hat to simulate the spires of that clock tower. So I thought I would demonstrate this. This pattern is available on Ravelry, and I thought it would be interesting for you to see how easy and quick it is. You can certainly use this bobble in all kinds of patterns, but as I say, it's very quick and very easy. This is a twisted traveling stitch in that every knitted stitch in this pattern is knitted in the back of the stitch, and I think it makes for a very effective way to make the knit stitches all stand out. But let me show you this. Let me show you how to do this very simple. Bobble here. So it's done on one stitch, and you simply knit to the point that you want your bobble to be placed. So I'm going to just do it here. You knit into the stitch, and you do a knitted cast on. So to do a knitted cast on, you knit into the stitch, and you pull that new stitch up and onto the needle. That's you're going to cast on 3 new stitches. So I've just cast on 1 stitch. You knit back into that same stitch, pull that stitch through and put it back on the front of the needle. So that's 2 stitches I've cast on. You knit into that stitch again and pull it through and forward and put it back on the needle. That's 3 stitches I've cast on. So I now have cast on 3 stitches where there was 1. And now I'm simply going to bind those 3 stitches off. I'm going to get this a little bit closer here. I've cast on 3 stitches using a knitted cast on. I'm now going to bind those 3 stitches off. 1, 2 stitches, I bind that off. Really sharp needles help in this regard. So that's 1 stitch bound off. There's the second stitch bound off. Would help if I didn't split my thread, wouldn't it? My yarn. And the third stitch bound off. And there is my nice bobble sitting right there. So let me do another one. I'm going to knit a couple of stitches over. And sometimes I think if you'll knit that first stitch after a bobble, it makes it stand up a little bit better. So I'll knit over again. All right, so I'm going to make another one of these simple, easy, elegant bobbles. I'm going to cast on 3 stitches using a knitted cast on. I knit into the stitch. I don't take that stitch off the left needle. I bring that stitch forward, twist it around, put that stitch back on the needle. That's a knitted cast on. That's 1 stitch. I want to cast on 3. There's a second stitch, bring it forward and around, put it back on the left needle, that's 2. Knit it again, that's 3, bringing it forward and around and back on the needle, that's 3 stitches. Now with those same 3 stitches that I've just cast on, I want to bind them off. So I'll knit it back into that, knit 1, knit 2, cast it off, or for my New Zealand friends, I cast it off or bind it off. So that's 1 bind off, 2 bind offs, and 3 bind offs. And there's a little something on my yarn, but ignore that. When you know that in my demonstration, there it is, I'll get rid of that. 3 bind offs, and there's my nice simple bobble. And as I say, this next stitch I'm going to knit just a little bit tighter, and that helps that bobble to stand up. But I hope you'll agree with me that that is a very nice and simple bobble to do. You can use it in all kinds of your projects, but it's, as I say, I've used it in my kiwi hat, which you can find on Ravelry. I hope this will help you, and it will help you to understand how to do this bobble. So thanks, Charles Gandy. Happy knitting.